Seems legit. Alright, so let's get started. We are in Lightburn, and I'm just going to draw a basic rectangle with the rectangle button. And then I'm going to draw a second one, and I'm going to change the measurements, and I measured my pencil. So I know what size we need. But as you can see here, I had it locked, so they didn't quite work out the way I hoped, so I've got to redo them. So that is now the size that will fit the pencils that I'm using. So obviously measure your own pencils. You don't have to follow mine. And then I'm just going to shrink the box down so it doesn't need to be excessively wide because that's just too much. So now I'm going to hit Control C and copy that shape, and then Control V and paste them down. And the packs of pencils are in 12s, so I've done 12 slots. And as you can see, I didn't try very hard to line them up, because we're going to do that now. So we go select them all, except the outside. We don't want the outside. Then we line, oh no, we do want the outside. And then we line them up in the middle. You can also not use the outside. It works both ways. And then over here, we can line them up so they've got like even spaces, as you can see there. So then I'm just going to select those bottom few, move it up a little bit. And then shorten this because we don't need that necessary excess stuff. So that is the basic shape for the pencils. I'm selecting them all here, and I'm going to align them in the center again just to make sure, since I did move some. So now I'm going to come over and I'm going to draw a little circle because we're going to make our little cross hatches. So we want a circle, and then we select it so that we can resize it to the actual size we want. And as you can see, now it's unlocked. So I've relocked the shape, and then I'm just going to do a 1 millimeter rectangle just so that we get that line. As you can see, it's 1 mil there, and then I'm going to hit Control C and Control V, so copy and paste, and then I'm going to just turn it. Got a color option, select it, and then you can manually turn it, or you can come up here and just type in 90 degrees and it'll do it for you. So I'm going to kind of put it roughly together. Then I'm going to select all of those three, and I'm going to hit the target button up here. What that's going to do is line up everything perfectly for you. And then I'm going to make it a fill color, which is what I've just done here. Except the circle. The circle, I just want it to have a line. So I'm going to click my line like that. So now I've just got a line, but the crosshatch is highlighted. So I'm going to right click and go down to group all of these together. Now it's one item instead of three. And then I have Control C, which is copy, and then Control V and paste. And I'm going to put them in the 4 sizes. I'm using my mouse to zoom in and out. I can't really show you that, so that's how I'm doing it. The little roller bar moves it in and out for you. And then I'm just making this a bit bigger so that I can actually have everything I need. Now you can try and line it up perfectly in the corner by manually dragging it like this, but it doesn't always work out the way you hoped. So there is another way to line them all up. I did start off this way, and then I went, oh, this is not working for me. So instead what I do is I hold the Shift key and click on them both, and then I'm going to align them so that they're perfectly aligned that way. Then I'm going to do the same with the top two. So click and then hit the Shift key and click again to select both of them and align them that way. Then what you can do so that everything's perfectly the same, select the top and bottom and then align them vertically. And that way everything's going to be even. And that's how I do that. So this is now what we want to cut. I'm also, I don't remember if I do it on this video or if I do it later, but I am also going to switch it so it does the fill before it cuts everything out. But I'm also going to label it so that if you make a lot of jigs, you might not remember. So I'm just going to label it. And then I have to do a fancy font because that's just who I am. And I just like this one and it fits nicely. So for the wood, I do 50% power and 50% speed for engraving. And the cutting is 3 millimeters per second at 100% power. That's how I like to do it. So I'm manually just selecting all of these pieces. so that I can then come down the bottom and pick a different color, because that's the cut color there. So 3 mil, 100%. So you have to manually select them all. And the things along the bottom that goes from 0, 0 all the way up to T2 are how you can have different layers, and you can set the order of the layer as well. And the T ones are actually to create a tool. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But we're now going to save that, and then I'm going to put it into the outside computer, because this was done inside because it was cold.
All right, so
now that we're out here,
as you can hear,
I've turned it on.
Put my board in.
See my fingers. Sorry about that.
To make sure
it is a little bit kind
now,
of
this is
curved,
slightly
that
bowed,
wood, so I'm
going to put something heavy on the end where it won't be in the way.
Tiny little bit.
As you can see there,
so I
it's
do
a little
end
bit
up
bowed.
putting something on there to kind of weigh it down. That's also out of the way. I just use a random heavy knife that I have. But you can see that my jig is going to fit, so I am going to cut it out.
Don't even have to close it all the way.
Now, unfortunately, you won't see all of it because I've got a phone call halfway through this. Now, when I'm not recording, I do, in fact, zip this down, but then I realise that you guys aren't going to be able to see anything.
So the first thing it's doing is all our little circles for our...
Otherwise, what's the point of this part of the video?
So I'm just going to hold it down.
I do like this though. It means I don't have to remember to wear my goggles all the time.
So what I've done is I've
so
set
you
it
can
through the
see
whole
here,
line instead of the individual target.
It's going to start down the bottom. Now, one thing I did accidentally do is I've got it set. Sorry, my hand's in the way. But I've got it set to do the whole way across. So you can see it's going, and it's going to do a tiny little bit and then go all the way back to the other side. So that's because I've got it set to do from bottom to top in that order. You can in fact set it to do each section. So I could have done the whole crosshatch and then it could have moved across to the other one. And it does work out quicker because it's not traveling all that blank space. And I'm very sorry my arm's in the way. I promise I didn't mean to do that. So you can see it goes back, does a tiny little bit, and then goes all the way back. So if you set it to do individual bits, it will do all of one crosshatch, then go and do another one, and it will lessen your overall time. So I did in fact speed it up, but you won't see it get to cut because I got the phone call, so it cuts off about now. So now we're going to go back to the screen, and I'm just going to show you something. So this is the jig in the thing, and we're going to put it into T1, which is a tool option. So once we select it and go tool, now we can have this on the screen, but it's not going to cut anything. It's just going to exist so that we can use all the spacing to work out where everything goes. So now I'm just going to type in a name, and these pencils were for Enya as part of a birthday present. So we're just going to type a name and then shrink it down to a size. And I also want it as a fill color just so I can see. Now you saw there, it kind of shrunk and went weird. So I'm going to Control Z that, which will undo it. And then I'm just going to change it manually with the numbers, and it works out much easier for me. Now I still need it a little bit smaller. So sometimes I select it and I will click on and off the lock key to make sure that it is actually locked. Now I can move it around. So that's the size I've chosen. So then we're going to go Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'm going to line them up, not necessarily in the same spot, but I want to make sure that they are in the middle of the tool section so that when we put our pencils in, it will actually do what we want. So I'm just going to zoom in and out and move around, line them all up in there. Now, if you're finding that it won't line up, zoom in more, like right now, and see how it, oh no, that one went all right. Sometimes it won't line up in the middle like you want. So what you need to do is you zoom in, and then it'll take smaller steps to get into the middle. There's probably a quicker way to do this, but I don't know it, so I manually just do them all. But Control V is definitely a big helper here. So now that we've got all of them, see how they're not straight? I don't like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to align them all like that, and suddenly our pencils will all look the same. So now we can cut them. Not cut, engrave, but you get the idea. So this is a really quick little project, and now they are all done, so we can zoom in and look.
Oh, so that's on all of them. Top and bottom, they all lined up well. And so now they're done. Now, obviously, you could put longer stuff. You could put a picture. But you do it at this end, so as you sharpen the pencil, you'll still see the name. And that's how we do pencils. Alright guys, I'm off to do some more. Bye!